Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Cabaret Hotspot Chats. I'm chatting with two of my favorite artists, and I say artists because they are both so multi talented. Please welcome Marcus Simeone, singer, songwriter, therapist extraordinaire, and Tracy Stark, one of the most sought after musical directors, singer, songwriter, composer, player to the stars. Welcome, both of you, and good morning. I'm so happy to see you both.
Morning.
Morning.
I don't get up this early usually for people. We have construction on my street though, so I was like, okay, time to get up. But for you guys, I would have gotten up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and this is mostly because these two are so busy. So we wanted to make sure that we got them up on our video. So I want to talk specifically about your brand new show. You are celebrating 20 years together in a show called, what is it, Together Again? And you're down at Pangea. Your next show, I think, is November 19th at 7 p.m., right? Tell me
Yes,
about why, why is the 20 years, but tell me about how the conversation started to actually do this.
You want me to take this
yeah,
one?
Yeah,
guys,
sure.
you take it first.
Well, uh, the pandemic thing happened, and even maybe a year or so before that, Marcus and I started. Well, we were both doing other projects anyway, but he started with Clearly Now, and got really involved with that, and we kind of then just sort of separated and didn't work together. And so it's been a few years since we've actually done a show together, and that was after doing things constantly
Constantly, yeah.
for 17, 18 years. And then so we just got together and realized, wow, we haven't done a show in years, so let's do it together. And then we had the decision of what to do.
Yeah, I was gonna talk to you about that because the body of music and the eclecticness of the kinds of styles that you each do, and so we'll talk about that in a minute. Marcus, how long have you two? You've been together 20 years. How did you meet? Do you remember how you met?
Absolutely. I walked into Judy's, uh, and Tracy was in the piano bar. And this was Judy's Chelsea. And she was playing, and I can't actually recall what she was playing, but I became mesmerized. And I was staring at her. And then I went over to her and I said, "Oh my God, you remind me of Janice Ian."
Oh,
Which, and she said to me, "I love Janice Ian." And I'm like, that was it. We started
she's
talking.
played for Janice Ian, by the way.
And
and
actually, we've done a Janice Ian show, which came many, many years later.
uh
But it was like, we got to do this. We both absolutely love her. And we did that show together, probably, I think, 2015. What was the show called? Sacred Ground, Tracy?
Sacred Ground.
wow.
And I've not played for Genesee, only in my.
Oh, I wish you had. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
I
Phoebe.
have a friend who played for her, but I have
Oh,
not played
oh,
for her.
I just thought you did because I know what a huge fan you are of
Oh
hers.
man, that would be my biggest fantasy.
It's
Yes.
funny. That was one of my questions later on. That if you could play for anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be? So there you go. Tracy, I know when I first heard Marcus's voice, when I met Marcus. Well, I actually didn't meet him that night. The first time I heard his voice was one of the open mic things or something, and I was like, "Who is this guy?" What was your impression as a musical director, as a musician? What was your impression of hearing that voice for the first time?
There are some people that did we play that night? Did you sing with me that night?
I was just trying to think of that. I don't
I
know.
I honestly can't remember when the first time I sang with you, or whether I just saw you with somebody else. But playing with Marcus is feels like you're playing on a cloud. His voice just soars. It's so beautiful. I feel like I don't know that I ever had any sort of getting to know you musically curve with him. I think we just started and it was just like, oh, this fits perfectly together. Do you have the same experience, Marcus? It's like we just
Yeah,
played and just
right. It just
and it was
happened.
just right. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
you know what's interesting? when you're working with somebody too, it becomes so much about the work
Mm-hmm.
that you don't really have the same experience as an audience member or somebody in a crowd that happens to see you. A case in point, Lena came to our show. Lena Kutrakis came to our show on Friday night, right? And afterwards, she said to me like, "Oh my God, Marcus," and I'm like, "Yeah, but we work together." And she's like, "But it's different." She's
Mm-hmm.
like, "It's different." Like, I guess she's doing her thing when we're working together. She's really not paying attention to me. I don't get to pay too much attention to her. Although, and clearly now it is kind of that opportunity where we sit on the side and watch each other every couple of songs, but it's still not the same because you're still thinking, what am I going to do next? You're thinking, what? Well, now you don't have to turn pages anymore because you have that neat little. But you're thinking, you're doing your job, I'm doing mine. So it's weird, It's not like when I've seen you, Tracy, at the West Bank at the Beachman when we've been in, let's say, like one of Sue's shows where it's a big cast. I get to appreciate you more because I'm sitting and watching the show and enjoying it.
This is the thing, when anyone out there who wants to hire a musical director hires Tracy, you don't just get her musical knowledge. You get a scope of genres within those hands
Yes.
that can play anything. So if I have a jazzier person, if I have a rock and roll person, if I have a 50s person, if I have an R&B person like Marcus, Tracy's one of my first calls because I know she can handle it all. And she's got a temperament that allows her to work with different personalities, shall I say? And yet she doesn't suffer any fool. She will say, "Okay, give me a minute. I'll be right with you." So she's like the penultimate. If you're going to do a group show, to have someone there to do, and we might be calling you for Urban Stages again this year. But I want to talk to you about your friendships. Your friendship. When did the I don't want to call it pay for play. When did you're hiring Tracy to play for you turn into a friendship? And when did you, like, I always look up when I'm playing with Tracy and I look over at her and I feel like she's just like a Muppet having the best time at the piano. I always feel like, beat drums.
I'd be called a Muppet. So
You'd make a great Muppet, actually. You're so full of that Muppet lovely energy. But when did you look over and have that moment with her where it's like, this is so awesome to be on stage with my friend and not just my musical director? Did that happen very early on?
I'm sorry. Let me, Zoom world.
it's a work day.
The real world, yeah.
Yeah. I think that it was when I think really for me, and I don't know, Tracy, you can speak on this as well. I think for me, it was when we started to do some gigs out of town because we traveled and then we like bunked and then we, were like talking about the experience and the people we were working for. Some were lovely, some not so lovely. So it was like going on a vacation, let's get on the plane, let's go here, we're going to do this. Then it kind of changed. Then I think, and that was probably not too long, maybe 2004, 5, 6. So we hadn't really been together that long when we started getting those gigs,
Yeah.
and gave us the time
Nothing like a road trip.
Right. Well, they say you don't know somebody until you live with them. So there you go. And I've seen Marcus in his underwear more times than I care to want to admit. We've done a few of those road trips. Tracy, with you in terms of Marcus, Gregory and I have a 27-year relationship, my musical director and I, and he can tell when something's up with me. Can you tell through Marcus's voice if he's having a good day or a bad day? I'm not talking vocally, I'm talking emotionally. Do you guys have that connection? I'm assuming yes.
Yeah. But Marcus also wears his heart on his sleeve. So as soon as he walks in the room, you can tell what's going on.
What, the Charlie Brown music playing? Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. There are no I mean, not that, and I say this in the most complimentary way, that that there really aren't any mysteries of his mood or what's going on. So immediately I can tune into what's going on with him if we need to, do this. And I probably the same with me. I don't know. I can't tell with myself because I'm involved in my own world. But But yeah, I always know where Marcus stands in what we
As
love
as
in life.
as our record producer Kitty Scribella says, I can always tell when it's happy Marcus or stormy Marcus. She says when you walk in, she said suddenly, she says sometimes it's you change right within 3 minutes. She's like you transform before my eyes. I don't have a good poker face, and I just
Mm.
and I feel comfortable with you too,
Well, that's
Tracy. So
probably
Yeah,
why you sing the
and
way you sing too, because you don't hold anything back.
I agree. And also, as music tends to do, it might be we might have a 15-20 minute conversation before we play, and then as soon as we play it goes back. It's the leveling, the universal leveling ground,
Hmm.
even in ground music is, because we'll sing a song and then it'll be like, okay, everything will cleanse you. And I mean, maybe not there, but maybe not perfectly, but you start to sing, you just feel better.
Yeah.
You just it's the healing.
That's the truth for sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, we touched on it earlier. How did you choose, with Marcus's vast background of different styles of music and yours and your collaborations in songwriting and your original material? How did you put, what, 14, 16 songs in this one show? I can't even imagine. This needs to become a series, I think. Tell me about that process. Did you both bring ideas to the table? How did that happen? Mark,
Yes.
Tracy, go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. You
No,
wanted
no, no, go, Tracy.
Marcus? So when we first started talking about this, we put probably 8, 9 different ideas on the table. So, so we had that conversation, and then we just let it sit for a while.
Hmm.
And what do you feel like doing? And our Janician show was one of the bigger ideas and a very possible suggestion. And then I think back to the complication of it all. It's a very complicated show. We had a
yeah,
full band. We did songs that were not easy. We would we would have to relearn them. We would, I don't know, we could do it without a band. It was like settling in and figuring out what the logistics were.
Hmm.
yeah.
Um,
We
and
had audio clips too, Tracy, remember, of
yeah,
Janice herself speaking, which we would need to be in a club that would be able to play those audio clips because that
right.
was kind of how we set it up.
I loved that show. I
I
really
do
loved
too, and
that.
I think we should bring it back.
Well, I was actually thinking of producing a show and asking different friends to bring back their favorite show, because a lot of us didn't have names or as much recognition as we do now. Because I just did a little piece in my show called From My Speaking of Happiness show, and it's like, that was a really good show that nobody saw because nobody knew me. So I thought
Yeah.
it'd be kind of cool once a month to kind of promote and feature someone who wants to bring a show back. So I'll have to talk to you about that. That would be awesome. And find a place that has the scrim. Maybe again, Urban Stages. They have that nice scrim up there.
That would be beautiful, because
Yeah.
we do love that show. But yeah, and we both are extremely busy at this time. I mean, I'm pretty much completely booked through November, and I have double books on
For
certain
the
days.
holidays,
So
yeah.
so I envisioned myself trying to get everything in, and I thought, no, I can't do that. That's just adding too much on my plate. So and also we've written a few songs together this past year, and why don't we do our our originals, our favorites, and things. We can do a couple Genesee. We'll put everything in a potluck
Hmm.
and do that show.
Well, that's great for a 20-year retrospective, too. It gives you, the audience, a sense. I can't wait to see it. I'll certainly be there. Anybody wants to join me on the 19th, I'll be there at Pangea. Um, Marcus, for you, give me, tell me, what is your ideal dream job? Where do you, as Marcus singularly, wish to play that you haven't played yet? What would be your dream job? And what would that project be?
I think that it almost happened in terms of what a dream show would be. I'm not sure any particular venue or where that would be, because that is there's so many venues, and But we had also talked about a Jimmy Webb show. That like briefly, like a shooting star came by, and I was like, Jimmy Webb, and Tracy was like, I love Jimmy Webb. But again, it was going to be sort of like the Janician project. It would have taken too much time. And I think what I love what Tracy decided, because it took us back to, it brought us to this show. When we were, like she said, we started writing some songs again this year. I think we have like 4 or 5 new ones. So when that started happening, then we started. I think that's what we had talked about, doing a show together, as she said, like maybe 2 years ago. But then COVID and things happened. But we also then started writing. So when we started writing, it became like she kind of looped it back and was like, why don't we do some of our originals? And I had said, well, I would love to do an album, a CD of originals, which I still want to do. So yeah, I think my I don't know, maybe my dream show would be Jimmy Webb right now. And where would I want it to be? I'm not sure. I'm
Like
not
I
really
saw
sure.
you at the cutting room. I think like I love you at the cutting room. It's a big room, but in terms of what you do, I see you there, and you know the Jimmy Webb show would work beautifully there. Just saying,
I
if
actually
cutting rooms
saw,
listening.
yeah, I actually saw Jimmy Webb there right before COVID. Um, I'm going to be back at the cutting room with Emily Surtees at the end of the month. That's what I said to you before. When you said oversaturated, I thought to myself, how did I get all these shows?
But
Like,
doing a
we're going
show
to
with
be,
Emily's kind of cool because you kind of cross pollinate because there's probably people in her audience that don't know who you are that will
oh,
get a
yeah,
chance
she's
to see you.
a
She's
totally
awesome.
like
Yeah,
R&B kind of, that's her thing, like
yeah.
really. The thing, the difference between what we do, though, in a cabaret room and what Emily does is, Emily has been able to build a really big following through tribute shows. So
Hmm.
she'll take material, and they don't do kind of what we do in terms of looking for a cool new arrangement, blending songs together. You get the song the way it was recorded, almost like almost like a club date band, like when you're either at a wedding or at a corporate. We just do the songs the way they were, and there is a market for that. I call that entertainment.
Hmm.
And thank you for calling us both artists, because I call what we do in the cabaret world art. It's
Hmm.
quite different than,
We're
you
very
know,
lucky that this exists in our city and that people know what it is. Our biggest issue, I think, always, and Cabaret Hotspots is trying desperately to help with that, is PR on what this genre is. Tracy, I want to talk to you about collaboration, your collaborative process when writing a song with Marcus. Does he bring you lyrics? Do you bring him lyrics? I mean, you're a lyricist and a composer. Marcus also has a tremendous ear. Does he bring you a snippet of a medley? Are you both co-writers? Do you share total credit on music and lyrics and stuff? How does that work for you guys?
So far, Marcus has sent me lyrics, and there have been a couple songs where we've gone back and forth, where, I feel like maybe this might be better said this way, or can I add a little bit of things here and there? And um, I remember I wrote something a few years back, uh, where he just sent me lyrics, and he didn't tell me his idea. He had an idea in his head, but he didn't tell it to me. And I came back and I said, okay, this is what I did. And he said, well, my idea was kind of like something different. And I was like, okay, that would change the whole thought, although that's beautiful. And I will change it if you want me to. That would change the whole vibe of the whole song.
Mm-hmm.
So, we go back and forth. So far, it's been him sending me lyrics, and then whatever happens after that is organic.
Mm-hmm.
There was one song that he sent me that I literally turned the tape recorder on, and I just like went, okay, I sang to it, and that's exactly the way it came out. Like that was
Wow.
channeled.
Wow.
well, that was haunted, right? That was
That
haunted.
was haunted.
The
And
lyrics came to me like instantly, and the music came to you instantly.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
There's gifts that we get gifts sometimes. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
well, that's I was just going to say that we just really did our first musical collaboration. Our new song, "Let Me Be Free," I kind of sang it into my iPhone,
Oh, right.
and I sent it to Tracy, and I said, "What do you think? Is it any good?" And that was one of the first times I shared my musical prowess with her, and she
Mm-hmm.
said, "Marcus, it's like 90% there." She did some rearrangement with the with this bridge and the modulation, and but that was something different for us because usually she's absolutely correct. I sent her a ton of lyrics. She goes through them. She'll send me back different, musical forms. Uh, but who knows? This may be a springboard to us, working more together musically. And we've talked about that too. We've talked about we need a session. We just need a session where we can chill one day and have coffee and go through musical ideas as well as lyrical ideas. And it's interesting because in the new song, my favorite line is a line I did not write that Tracy brought to it. A heart needs forgiveness before it can know its own name. That's a Tracy line.
Wow. Yeah, that
So
is a Tracy line.
and Tracy is great because she didn't say to me, in our world, there's also, I find, a lot of ego, right? And we need that to some degree because we are exposing ourselves to people. So we need to have that. But it's great working with Tracy because she could have said to me, "This new song, Let Me Be Free, kind of sucks musically. Let me write something new." But she didn't.
Of course not.
She said, "This was a gift, Marcus, just as you said, Sue." She said, "This gift." She said, "I said, Tracy, I don't even know." I said, "The music, I have a piano in my home, and I kind of plunked out a melody, not knowing if it was any good or not." And she encouraged me, and she said, "It's like 90% there. This is great."
Well, these are the
So,
risks we take, and also you're ceding to her expertise on the next level to make it that much more, and there's a
right,
trust there.
right.
There has to be a trust there. And sometimes it's just about, right, Tracy, scanning lyrics in so that they fit musically. It's not about the words you chose or didn't choose. It's just about how we can scan this into her concept of what the music is. So I think that kind of collaboration works best for the beauty of the product when you take your egos out of it and you work for the beauty of the ultimate product, which in your case would be a beautiful song. So that's awesome.
Yeah, but when you're writing lyrics with somebody and you send them to them, like if something hits me, well, this feels awkward, and I have no idea what it means. Like but every just this one line or this
Yeah.
one word, or this feels like a placeholder.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's right.
that's a thing. Like the rest of the song is better than this one line.
Gotcha.
Then I think let's try to find something else. And like I will offer something, but if that doesn't work for the other person, or if the other person doesn't want me contributing, that, like, lyrically or something like that, that's not the case here. But I will work with the person I'm working with, and I don't, however that is. But yeah, luckily it's a give and take in this
Creating art again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marcus, I wanted to ask you something quickly. You revisited a show that you did with Sean Harkness years after that show happened for, reasons. How did it feel to do that show again and to put that show back up after having had time after Greg's loss?
It was really hard. It's a
hard.
really personal show. It's an awesome show.
Oh, it's one of the best shows I've ever
Oh,
seen.
I mean, Sean is great, and Lena really guided me. At that time, again, and I always remind myself and others that I was like, drama queen. I was like, I will never sing again.
No.
And Sean and Lena was like, "The hell, you're never gonna sing again." And she's like, "I'm directing the show for you." She's like, "So you go meet with Sean," and and so it was personal, it was scary, And then like 4 years later,
Mm-hmm.
doing that show, I started to notice that I was becoming what we call in mental health emotionally dysregulated a little bit. I was like, I can't do this. These songs are depressing me. It was hard. But once we hit the stage with it, it was a beautiful experience because there are different stages of grief,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in a different place now than I was when that show was created. Uh, and so I don't know if I would do it again. I mean, we have a running joke, me and Sean. We love this. Sean loves the show. He's like, I could do this show every night. Um, but I said to him, yeah, well, we're not going to do it again unless it's like there's a guarantee it's a paid gig. Because the last time we did it, well, the first we did it two more times. One night we had a great audience, and then one night it's pretty sparse. And I was like, well, maybe people are getting tired of Blue. I don't know. You only have so much from your pool to pull from, and then after that, then you have to get blow up dolls and put them in the seats, and
Yeah.
you
Well,
know
that's
they
a
don't
whole, I
pay.
mean, we can go on for hours about
Yeah, really.
post-COVID audiences and everything. We're all, as Sarah Rice always says, we're fighting over the same chicken bone because and I love Meg Flather says we're passing off the same $20 cover charge to each other,
Yeah,
and,
yeah, that's
and
true.
it's true, but then the pressures from the clubs adds, well, not adds, takes away, I think, some of the, artistic aspect of just going to stage with your music and with your joy, because you're worried about seats and all that. So that's a whole other depressing topic I don't really want to get on. I want to kind of end this little interview with each of you. I'll start with Mark. I'll start with Tracy. Give me 3 adjectives that describe Marcus.
Oh.
Oh,
Are
this is hard.
you talking about musically or
Anything that comes to
physically?
mind, musically or personally, 3 adjectives that if someone didn't know Marcus and said, who's that guy? 3 adjectives that would kind of help you explain who Marcus is in a nutshell.
I would say emotional slash empathetic, um, wicked, talented, beautiful voice, um, and let me see. and, and
Wasn't.
and good friend.
Aw. And Marcus?
Um, I would say uh, organically super talented. I would say authentic and sincere, and uh, a fun person who's a good friend.
Lovely. Now it's funny. I know you both very well. My 3 adjectives actually would be similar for both of you. I would go with wicked talented for both of you. I'd go with kind and empathetic, as Tracy said about you, Marcus, for both of you. And I mean, separate from being my friends, of course, that goes without saying. I think what people don't know about both of you is that you're both incredibly smart. I don't think people give you credit for being as incredibly smart. Marcus, you and your day job, as well as your thought processes for bringing stuff to stage. And Tracy, of course, the way your mind thinks and the way you write songs is beyond anyone else I know, how your heart goes into your lyrics. So those would be my adjectives for the 3 of you. And it's not so ironic that they're very similar for the both of you. Thank you so much for spending a little time
Thank
with
you.
us. To my
Thank you.
audience, if you'll scroll down in this video interview, there's a clip from this show that I know you're going to really, really enjoy. There's all the information on how to make a reservation for this show. And I'll actually put up Marcus's other shows that he's going to be into. So, and Tracy, if you have 1 or 2 other shows that are coming up, be happy to put a little list on this. So if you don't know these 2 amazing artists, you need to know them. Clearly, you can see the kind of people they are. Now go see what kind of talents they are. Most of you viewing this do know them, and let's see you in those seats on November 19th at 7 o'clock at
Thank you.
Pangea for this beautiful retrospective 20-year look back at them because they're now together again. How exciting is that? Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Cabaret Chats.
Thanks. Love you, Sue.
Love you
Thank
both.